Alrighty, folks, we have the one and only Mr. Brian Adamson back for our weekly conversations. One rental at a time is a different channel because we bring on experts from across the country with different experiences and skill sets and communities. And Brian, I'm so glad you're here.
Man, always a pleasure, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You have a growing YouTube channel, which of course you can give a shout out to, but somebody left a comment, which I'm going to ask you to read so that we can rap about it for a little bit.
For sure, for sure. So the comment was, thanks for the content. Would love to hear you do a video on the skill of patience in the beginning while looking for deals and saving capital. How do you control the fear of missing out and not feel discouraged in the beginning?
Who wants to go first? This is your question on your channel. What do you want to do first?
I guess I'll kick it off. The first thing is, I believe, number one, you have to have a clear why and understand why you're really doing what you're doing, right? And if you can get solidified in that, it will help. It will help to stay more honed in and less distracted, right? Because it's really about minimizing distractions, and those distractions come in all different shapes and forms, whether it be peer pressure from social media, peer pressure by others. And so you just got to stay dialed in on what the goal is and why that goal is important to you. It can't just be because somebody else is doing it and I think it's cool. It's got to be a bigger purpose there. And if it is, then you'll stay the course. The other piece, I think having a sense of community is so important. You hear me always talk about proximity is key. When you're out there on the island by yourself, you're not in a community like One Rental at a Time or like my community, where you're encouraged and surrounded by others who have charted the same course, who have endured the same challenges and have figured out a way to persevere and get on the other side of that, I think is critical. I'll just start with those two and then kick it to you, Mike.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on this one, and I do my best to change the goal. So when I hear people talk about fear of missing out or patience, or worse, they have 100 grand in their pocket that's burning a hole. Like, I've got to get rid of this. I have to buy something or else I'm going to do something else stupid with it. I try to change the goal. The goal is not getting a deal. I'm going to say that again. The goal is not getting a deal or closing on a property if you follow one rental at a time. The goal is to learn your buy box, to learn what an average yield is. That is success. If you come in my world and you spend 90 or 100 days or whatever it is, you write a great offer and you get told no, I want to shake your hand, take a picture, because that's the goal. The goal is writing great deals. Any idiot with a checkbook and cash can buy a deal. Doesn't make it a great deal. In fact, I would tell you, if you have fear of missing out or any of those signs, there's a really, really good chance you bought a bad deal or something I call an alligator. I would rather sit on cash than do a bad deal. I would rather sit on cash than do an average deal. I do not do average deals. I look every day. I know what a great deal is. And again, in today's market, I can't write deals at list price. So I get told no all the time. But every deal I write's a great deal. That's the success. And unfortunately, that takes work, especially if you're somebody in tech or finance and you've got a little money put away. You idiots don't do the work. You think looking at properties for a freaking weekend and going through 5 open houses is work. What the hell are you doing? That's not work. It's crazy what I see out there.
Hey, it's funny, Mike, because I echo that same sentiment. I say the most dangerous people are those that have money.
Exactly.
Like they really are.
Like you can cut corners.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is we teach our students how to go out and raise capital, right? But that's only after they've gotten the fundamentals of how to go and be an effective operator. And so it's so interesting because I see the students who have little capital that go out and do better deals because they're much more meticulous about what they do and how they do it, especially in the vein of partnering with somebody else and putting their capital at play. So they're not gambling with other people's money, right? And so it's so funny to me to see, you know, all of these people that have some reserves but don't have the acumen. To your point, read an article, you know, dive in for a couple of days and now they're an expert. and they're literally, it's the equivalent of putting their money on the crap table.
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you every time there's at least back in the day it was magazines. Now it's probably blogs or whatever online. There was like the top 10 cities to invest in, like US money. I don't even think the magazine exists anymore. Anytime there was one of those, top 10 lists, top 5 lists, I would see people like Huntsville, Alabama has been on the list. I've never been to Huntsville, Alabama. I have friends there. I know people there. I'm sure it's a wonderful market. But just because some magazine said it's the best market, you're going to call up some agent, ask for a listing, and write offers on stuff. You have no team. You don't know the streets. You don't know. People with money sometimes get freaking lazy, man. What the
Yeah,
heck?
they do. They do. It's interesting because they got such a unique opportunity to start this thing off the right way. Like they're in a better position than most hungry operators, right? Because of that very reason, they're hungry, but they're at least hungry for knowledge. And it's so irresponsible for those that have the capital to not still have that hunger for knowledge, because how you went and produced that money to create the reserve was in a totally different environment that you at some point probably had to learn a skill or two in order to be successful in that vein. So why would you then automatically think that you can default into being a successful real estate investor while you have no experience on how to do so?
Well, I tell you exactly how this is going to come home to roost. This is to the LPs who are what's called an accredited investor.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you are about to have your lunch handed to you. Over the last 2 years, bigger is better has been a mantra, and it's absolutely not true. There have been more syndicators created in the last 2 years who have never done a deal, who are burning capital left and right. There was a Houston, Texas apartment building, or 4 apartment buildings for 3,200 units, Brian, was bought 1 year ago. I think it was 260 million bucks. The general partner put it together, raised 100 million in private capital.
Okay.
Foreclosed in a year.
No.
$100 million gone, evaporated. No. It was gone the day I didn't see the deal, but I saw deals like it. It had no chance of success. But they raised $100 million on a bullshit Excel promise. Those LPs did not do the work. They did not understand that the IRR and all these cap rates and all these things were not possible. They lost pain is a great teacher.
Absolutely. And ignorance will remain expensive. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So folks, do the work. The last thing I'll say about this is I've been lucky enough in my 22 years to have capital sometimes and not have capital. Mm-hmm. I can look back over my career and point at 3 or 4 or 5 deals where I had no capital with, and they are some of the best deals I have.
For sure.
You just have to get creative.
For sure. I would agree with that, Mike. And I was telling someone at my challenge a week ago, whenever I'm creating partnerships and I'm raising capital for my deals, if my money is not good enough to go in that deal, I wouldn't put someone else's money in it. Period. And when you operate like that, you will have a fruitful, successful, and growing business. And if you don't, you'll crap out sooner than later.
Oh, you'll get got. Somebody will get you. Yeah,
for sure.
It's pretty crazy. Sure. So at the end of the day, what I would tell people, again, if you're patient, you have a little money, you fear of missing out. For me, it's really simple. Change the goal. The goal is to learn average and then only write great deals. The goal is not buying. That is a result of doing the work, learning average, and writing great deals. I want to celebrate writing that first great deal. So that's what I would tell people.
For sure. Yeah, I will echo that. I think to that point, Mike, in order to recalibrate your goals, you got to be in the right environments with the right people, right? And so just go join the community of the real movers and shakers, not the tire kickers that you may meet at your REI groups, right? It's typically only 8 to 10% of those people that are really doing deals, but go get in a group of people that are doing deals, recalibrate what the goals are, and stay after it every day, and act as though the money is not there.
Exactly.
Right. Really act as though the money isn't there. The money is only significant when you get a great deal to deploy it into.
There you go. Brian, where can people find you, and where can they go to the YouTube channel so that they can leave comments, follow you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, I appreciate the comments. As a matter of fact, keep leaving them. You know, as you can see, Mike and I, whether together individually or shoot videos, go to Brian Adamson Real Estate on YouTube and Brian Adamson Official on Instagram.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.